Unscripted, where we look to continue to connect with our viewers through sports. Today, it's a very special Hockey Day edition of the show. Later, we will be joined by Chrissy Wendell and Johnny Pohl, and we'll catch up with former Wild defenseman Nate Prosser. But up first, we flash back to 2017. I'm excited to be joined by the winner of the Mr. Hockey Award that year. He's Casey Mittelstadt, and his coach at Eden Prairie, the great Lee Smith. Guys, thanks so much for doing this. Casey, I'll start with you. It was 2017, Hockey Day in Stillwater, two of the top-ranked teams in the state. What was the build-up, the lead-up, the preparation like for you and your teammates as you got ready to play on that big stage?
Yeah, I think the first thing I remember is, I think Lee can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we went down the day before and had a little practice, and it's kind of a mess around practice more than anything, just get used to it and feel the puck a little bit. And I think that helped us a lot, though. I think we were all ready to go see what the ice was like, the surroundings, and have some fun, and then kind of get that out of the way and have a more serious day the next day. But as a team, I think it wasn't too tough. I remember we were kind of going through a tough stretch, and we knew win a big game on a big day like that would have been huge for us and kind of help us turn the tide. So yeah, it wasn't hard for us to get ready to go. I think everyone was locked in. Obviously, you want to have fun with it and enjoy the day, but it's a huge game for us and a huge turning point in our season.
And, Coach, you had done this before, going back to 2010 up in Hermantown, and you want your team to put their best foot forward. You want to win the game. It's a big game against the Ponies on that particular day, but how do you get your kids to focus on the task and also focus on enjoying the moment because it's such a standalone day?
Well, first of all, it's such an honor to be asked to be in it. So that's the first part, is just the excitement of knowing you're part of it. But then, like Casey said, going down the day before and getting to practice and just getting a feel for the ice and what the feel is in town and the buzz. So that was really fun. We had a lot of fun that day. And then with the idea of the next day being the purposeful day and trying to get the win.
And Casey, to you, Lee's done a great job of building a winning tradition at Eden Prairie. You guys play in an outstanding conference. You play a great non-conference schedule. You play at events like Hockey Day, Minnesota. How much did your time as an Eagle at Eden Prairie shape who you are and who you were as a Gopher and now at the pro level in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think it's been huge for me. I think growing up, I was always in the Eden Prairie organization. I think that's pretty clear. And all those kids I played with growing up are still my best friends now. I hang out with them right away when I come home. The first guys I see and first guys I golf with, hang out with pretty much any day of the week. So it's shaped a lot of my life. Obviously, my brothers are there too, and shaped a lot of theirs. I was watching them all this year, and yeah, it's a big part of it. I think every time you come home, get to see them play or get to go to a game or even just go to practice, see Lee and the other coaches. It's pretty fun. So it's definitely a big part of who I am.
And Lee, for you, with the tradition that you guys have built up, having a couple of performances on Hockey Day, Minnesota, being able to play at the state tournaments that you have, how much has that kind of helped build the tradition that Eden Prairie hockey is today? You guys have had state championships. You've had marquee events like Hockey Day, Minnesota. What does that mean to you and your program?
Well, first of all, it wouldn't happen without families like the Middlestats, the Rouse, the Lettys, to name a few. There's so many great people that live in our community, but, we just try to create a culture where the kids want to stay here and play and be with their buddies and have fun. And Casey's a prime example of that, being so unselfish to stay in Eden Prairie and play with his buddies when he had every opportunity to leave. But no, he stayed, and I know we didn't win it all, but he was a big part of a great season.
And Casey, when you look back at that particular day in 2017, I remember working the game. I remember the great views with the lift bridge in the background, the outstanding crowd, because there was so much buzz around your matchup with Stilwater being two of the best teams in Minnesota. What do you remember the most about your experience on Hockey Day?
I think the thing I remember the most is after the game. Like I said, it was a big game for us, and we ended up winning, and kind of get a sense of relief and finally take a second to look around and enjoy the day and see the views. And I think it was a mix of that, and I remember it snowing a little bit in the second period or something like that. I remember all of us talking about that in between periods, just loving it. I mean, I grew up with a rink in my backyard, so I was out there a lot, and all my friends were always over skating on that, so it brought us back to that a little bit. And yeah, it was a special day. I look back on that as one of the most fun days I've had playing hockey.
And Lee, I remember coaching against you, and I've watched your teams for years. You're a team that's always predicated on speed and skill. How different is it for you as a coach and a coaching staff to get your team ready to play outdoors in the elements?
Well, I think the kids are always going to show up ready to go because of the event, and they know that everyone in the States watched them, so they want to make a name for themselves or our community. But I think, it's a different game. It's got different elements, but just seeing you and Anthony there, whoever you're announcing with, that even makes it even more surreal. So we love being part of it.
And Casey, how much do you connect day in and day out in your career now as a professional hockey player with players from Minnesota? I know from traveling around with the Minnesota Wild that it seems like every building we go into, there's a connection back to high school hockey in Minnesota. How much pride do you take in that day in and day out when you're battling throughout the ranks at the pro level?
Yeah, it's great. I think we've talked a lot about my EP friends, but now at this point, a lot of them are done playing. So, you have connections all over. Play golf. My other friends are working or something. Play golf with the hockey players. Work out with them. It's a pretty small world, whether you're on the road and during the year getting dinner, stuff like that. So, yeah, I've got a ton of hockey friends now. It's actually pretty fun, and it's always good to see them. It's crazy how small the world is.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's amazing how many players from Minnesota are in the league now. And Lee, you've had a chance to coach some of these players. You mentioned their names, the Rouse, the Lettys. For you as a head coach, you've got to be able to connect with different types of players. But when you get players like Casey, when you get players like the Rao brothers or a guy like Nick Leddy, what do you have to do as a head coach to make sure you give them the right experience at Eden Prairie as well?
Stay out of their way. Let them showcase their skills. We've never really worried about scoring champions. We always talk about that, but we do want to put our guys in the right spot. And, and when you have a guy like Casey, you just try to get him a couple wingers who can get him the puck or can finish when he gets them the puck, and communicate with him. Casey was always very vocal and very positive about who he wanted to play with or some things. And he was, just have an open line of communication with your stars.
Boys, I really appreciate this stroll down memory lane. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Gorgie.
Thanks for having us.